It's time for My Book of Bible Stories, episode 1 in my series of sick and twisted Bible stories for children. This is my copy. The book was originally published in 1978. Chapter 1, God begins to make things. All the good things we have come from God. He made the sun to give us light by day and the moon and stars so we can have some light at night. And God made the earth for us to live on. But the sun, the moon, the stars, and the earth were not the first things God made. Do you know what was the first? I bet you'll never guess. God first made person. I'm advocating for my dear friend Yasmin and her 9 family members who are facing an incredibly challenging situation. Yasmin's sister-in-law has a newborn baby with a heart condition, and both of her parents are immunocompromised. They have a very short window to get to Canada to rebuild their lives. She has been very overwhelmed with the task of organizing their flights and getting the monetary support she needs. Her information is in my profile. I bet you'll never guess. God first made persons like himself. We can't see these persons just as we can't see God. In the Bible, these persons are called angels, and God made the angels to live with himself in heaven. The first angel God made was very special. He was God's first son, and he worked with his father. He helped God to make all other things. He helped God to make the sun, the moon, the stars, and also our earth. Now, I believe the reason that they inject Jesus into the creation account, because he's clearly not there, we'll look at it, because in Genesis it says, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. What is the us and the we? This is a God talking to other gods, a divine council. So a group of gods are considering what the next process of creation is. And they put Jesus or angels there, persons like God, in this act of creation, which I feel is wholly inappropriate when clearly we have inscriptions, literature, tablets that speak of these Elohim, of this divine council, and they're also mentioned elsewhere in the Bible. I won't drone on and on about that. Let me move on. What was the earth like then? In the beginning, no one could live on earth. There was nothing but one big ocean of water all over the land. But God wanted people to live on the earth. So he began to get things ready for us. What did he do? Well, first the earth needed light. So God made the light from the sun to shine on the earth. He made it so there could be both nighttime and daytime. Afterward, God caused land to come up above the water of the ocean. Oh boy, this is such a misconception of what happens in Genesis 1. Okay, but it's okay. You know, they're doing their best to summarize things, but it's not correct. At first, there was nothing on the land. It looked like the picture you see here. There were no flowers or trees or animals. There were not even any fish in the oceans. God had a lot more work to do to make the earth really nice for animals and people to live on. So, in Genesis 1, I think there's a lot of symbolism happening. But first, let's address how they say that the first thing that God needed to do was to create light, and that he made light from the sun to shine on the earth. In Genesis 1, the first day of creation, God separates the light from the darkness. He doesn't create the sun and the moon. That doesn't happen until the 4th day of creation. Okay? I believe that the separation of the day from the night is evil from good. And that the second day of creation, where God separates the waters, is reminiscent of the Enuma Elish, when Tiamat is ripped into two and the universe is created. That's what Marduk does in his creation epic. So I think that's what these 2 days of creation are symbolizing. The third day What does the third day? The dry land appears, and then God fertilizes the land. Okay, a male God fertilizes the land, and it yields seed and fruit of every kind. Now here is the fourth day of creation, when God creates the sun and the moon. And that was the fourth day. And he says, on the fifth day of creation, there's another big discrepancy between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. God creates animals, and then he says, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness. No mention of Adam and Eve after that. God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it. You're going to have dominion over the earth and the creatures, which almost sounds like there's this huge area of land, like the whole world is this Eden. And it's a bit different in the Genesis 2 story. I think this first chapter is innocent enough. They're doing their best to rationalize their beliefs with what this act of creation says. That's fine. I would expect that, and everybody is welcome to believe what they want to believe. I just like to look at the facts, and I think that there's an undercurrent of ideas that are happening that a lot of people aren't privy to because they haven't looked deeper, and I enjoy looking deeper. So I hope you all stay for the next chapter, A Beautiful Garden. Stay tuned, and I will see you in chapter 2 of my series of sick and twisted Bible stories for children. Ta-ta!